Boss, we learned out who the mole is. It's polyamorous Tony. There, fuck. I want him dead. I want his wife dead. I want his wife dead. I want his wife dead. I want his wife.
Hey, fun fans, it's We Enjoy. Back for our Jenny on the Block, doing more JLo movies. This week in the main event, it's Out of Sight. We are the Mattitude, Eric. I am Matt Fowler. Say hello, Eric Goldman.
Hi. It was like the way you said Out of Sight, I was like sure you were going to say something else after that, but
I was debating whether or not I was going to turn Out of Sight into Hall & Oates Out of Touch and start singing it, but just going, I'm out of sight, you're out of sight, but I'm out of my head when you're not around.
Well, me asking that question got you to sing it anyway, so it's a win-win.
I was about to tell Eric an anecdote from my youth, and I said I'll just tell it on the podcast when I hit record, because we were talking about action figures and Hasbro. So when I was a kid, this would have been pre-middle school. This is elementary school. So my neighbor on my floor worked for a Mattel and had all these pennies. I don't know. It felt like these pennies had been passed down for generations. How many pennies this woman had, and I rolled her pennies. This is something that's not really done anymore because physical currency is all but dead, especially the penny. But at one point you would roll your change so you could take it to the bank and like turn it in. So I rolled her pennies and she would pay me in Transformers. So
I don't know. This all sounds suspect.
But I got some really cool toys from this. In fact, I think I got the Constructicons from this gig.
Ooh, that is good.
So I formed Devastator on the backs of rolled pennies.
That's amazing.
I'm telling you, it was enough pennies to earn me a Devastator, at least, if not more Transformers. But yeah, the Constructicons were part of the deal.
Top notch. That's great. You're reminding me of. What were you saying?
Oh, I was just going to say one more thing. She also had a gecko in her apartment, like that she kept, and it was there to like eat the bugs. And it like lived behind a refrigerator. So I would go over there and like try to find the gecko. It was very hard to find a gecko in a New York City apartment. Just if anyone wants to try that, I don't recommend it. Okay.
So you're reminding now you get two quick stories. Your one story reminds me of two quick stories. One is the gecko, which just reminds me of. Do you remember the apartment I lived in after you and I? Well, there was the brief year with the terrible roommate I had, but then when I
was going to say, I thought you were talking about her. Okay,
no. But the place I lived in for years, and then Trish would eventually live there with me. But do you remember that weird space that I would tell? I had to explain to people why there was a cutout through the wall of the living room to the bedroom near the top of the, which was because the previous tenant had, without asking permission, set up a giant track for his pet iguana and then like cut through the wall so the iguana could go through and then more track in his bedroom.
Yeah, you make a lizard highway. Yeah, it was like an iguana monorail that went through the apartment.
Yeah, it sounded kind of awesome. I mean, although it was great the sigh my landlord made when I said, "Why is there a hole from the living room to the bedroom?" And then the pennies just reminds me of my freshman year in college. I lived in a triple. You know Adam Dusavar, who was one of my two roommates, but you do not know Jared Harris, my other roommate. And Jared lived up. Me and Adam had bunk beds, but Jared was on the other side of the room with his single bed. And he moved out before us. He was like done with the school year a couple days before us and left. And he left a giant pile of pennies that all year he'd been adding to on his windowsill. And we did something. So first of all, so stupid, Matt, when I think back, like we would laugh about this later, which was we really cleaned our dorm room. Like we felt like we needed to make it like leave it nice.
Like for the next tenants, like you've been renting the place. I mean, you have technically, but yeah.
So we after Jared left, Adam and I like really cleaned that place up. So like we're like, oh, let's get all these pennies Jared left, and we went to get them from the windowsill, and they were stuck together. And we had a lot of theories about why the pennies were stuck together. And we laughed.
I
Anyway.
have one theory, not many. So,
Yeah, we only had one theory.
I was gonna say, how many theories did you really have to get?
Yeah, we only had one. It's exactly the one everyone's thinking of right now.
Okay, and I am very good at rolling coins, a trait that means nothing in 2022, but like did serve me when I started, being a cashier and working retail and food service and stuff. But yeah, I'm very fast at rolling coins because of my Constructicon days.
You roll the coins, you get the Constructicons.
Like in the deal. All right.
Come on, old lady. Get with the Constructicons. And you're dressed, for some reason, you're dressed like a little gang. You're like a little boy dressed like a gangster, 1930s gangster.
It's like baby, what's his name from Roger Rabbit?
Right? Baby Herman.
Baby Herman. Okay. Speaking of laughter, the day the laughter died. Gilbert Gottfried, we won't go into his career all that much, but Gilbert Gottfried passed away at the age of 67. Really stark, like just sort of shocking 3 months here, losing like Louis Anderson, Bob Saget, and
Norm Macdonald.
Macdonald, and like
that.
so these comics from the 80s and 90s that were just huge. One after another.
It's
up
been
and
really...
like flies. As far as like and this isn't saying that this is why these people died, but once upon a time, I think you could sort of track comedians' deaths with wrestler deaths, and maybe even with like musicians' deaths, as far as like artists, tortured artists, mental issues, addiction problems, and stuff like that. But yeah, this was and he was only 67 years old. He had a long running illness that he succumbed to. Most people, obviously, Gilbert Gottfried's voice is instantly recognizable. But most people would know him in the broader sense, voicing Iago the parrot from Aladdin and the sequels and the TV cartoons and stuff like that, just for decades. And he was an actual SNL cast member for about 12 episodes from 80 to 81.
Yep.
The doomed follow-up cast from the original Saturday Night Live players from 75 to 80.
Well, yeah, because the only true breakout from that first post original cast was Eddie Murphy. But Gilbert Gottfried has a really funny scene of Beverly Hills Cop 2 that apparently happened because Eddie Murphy really thought he was funny when they did Saturday Night Live together. So,
we could go through things. People have been posting a lot of great, like they did with Norm Macdonald and so forth.
Yeah.
Like a lot of great Gilbert Gottfried clips online. His Andrew Dice Clay impersonation is amazing. He's also known for
I'd never seen, and I of course remember him from Ford Fairlane, where he has a small role as
he has a full role of that, and then but also the movie The Aristocrats and his many roasts and his controversial like Emmys, like masturbation jokes about Paul Rubens that sort of got edited out of the West Coast broadcast. And controversy was never far behind Gilbert Gottfried in a lot of points, but he was a very, very funny, consummate comedian that you and I grew up on in the 80s. He was all over the place because stand-up was huge and stand-up TV was huge. Like as far as like shows that showcased stand-up comedians, because that even made its way to MTV, which is, and then Comedy Central obviously formed as an early cable channel too. And when Comedy Central formed, what they had to offer us was stand-up comedy. They didn't have much when that channel started.
That's right. Super funny guy. It is a shame, and I need these great comedians to stop dying. It's just a weird run here of this, untimely deaths. Of these
well, then
guys,
I urge you to write a strongly worded letter.
I'm going to
the great hereafter to sweet oblivion. Please stop.
Stop. Okay.
All right. On to some more entertainment news here. It's come down the pike that Bryan Cranston and Aaron Paul will reprise their Breaking Bad roles as Walter White and Jesse Pinkman in the Better Call Saul final season, which starts in just a few days. And we will all be even more amused than we were with the Netflix movie El Camino at a now 40-something Aaron Paul playing a 20-year-old Jesse Pinkman or something like that. Or I don't know how old he was when that story was supposed to end, but I do know that eventually they just shaved his head so that his receding hairline wouldn't be as distracting as sort of an 18-year-old like it. And then
right. But they also, I mean, I kind of think to their credit, this TV show doesn't have like a Marvel budget to de-age or whatever. So they kind of just like, look, just go with it. I mean, a real bone of contention people had was Jesse Plemons not just being older, but a lot heavier. And
his weight gain in El Camino when Todd on Breaking Bad didn't have that shape. Yeah. So.
Right. And him not physically matching at all what he would have looked like in that era. But I kind of respected them just being like, you know what? Yeah, just go with it.
I think
go with it.
We get hung up a lot on like actors' ages not matching who they're supposed to be when it comes to prequels. And I know that a lot of people like felt that way with McAvoy and Patrick Stewart, and then even just recently with like Jude Law and like any of the two Dumbledores. So like Richard Harris or what's the main Dumbledore?
Michael Gambon.
Gammon, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But it's just like you just have to realize they're embodying the character. They're not really supposed to be. They weren't picked because they would physically morph into the older character perfectly. That you're just supposed to take them as the character.
It's okay, everyone, is I guess our main point here. I was watching Better Call Saul screeners right before we began this podcast.
And you're like, it sucks just like usual.
Yeah,
I've never seen a show get progressively worse each season than Better
more
Call
shitty Saul. No, I so happy to have it back. Even so sad to have it be the final season, even though I like that, they're gonna, they're going out on such a strong note. But I will say that just the faith that this show was given, the fact that it's so great and has accomplished so much that I didn't need to see Walt and Jesse on this show ever.
No,
but I have faith that they'll do it in a good way, like that it won't, because there's the lame ways to think of it, but especially because the way that this show, while it's rooted in the prequel aspect, it's not only beholden to the prequel aspect. Not only is there stuff after Breaking Bad, but we've at least once seen a scene that took place during Breaking Bad. And so there's a lot of ways for this Walt and Jesse scene to happen that I feel like could, it'd be an interesting way to incorporate that.
I, of course, echo your sentiment that I don't need Walter or Jesse on this show because, as of 2 seasons ago, the conversation already started in earnest about, is this show better than Breaking Bad?
Right.
Because and it's encapsulated in its own right. It has its own world and its own characters that you care about, separate from the saga of Breaking Bad. Kim Wexler being paramount here as far as somebody who never appeared on that show. And we're all, of course, on the edge of our seats, wanting to know what her ultimate fate is come the end of this final season. I wasn't just on the edge of my seat. I was on the edge of the seat of the person next to me. Was that Rex Reed? I can't remember.
I don't remember, but it's made me laugh for years.
Yeah. So they'll pop in at some point and go, hello.
Hello. The other news story I threw in here was just a funny thing where
I didn't even see it. Let me see what you're talking about. Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Just because we have this funny thing in with our jobs and with like what we do for a living as far as like, it's you will say slow news week because with entertainment news you just never know, and then there'll be like a Friday afternoon like bunch of stuff, or this is a busy day. The weird thing here was that these two stories, one we just did and the one we're about to do, were both Saturday night stories. I felt bad for all the entertainment writers who had to write up news, 2 different pieces of big casting news on a Saturday night. The Walt and Jesse happened because there was the Better Call Saul Paley Fest panel.
So it came out of a Q&A session. Yeah.
Right. Obviously they planned that they would make that announcement to kind of give people some big news. But then Vin Diesel's going to do what Vin Diesel wants. So Vin Diesel on Saturday night decided to tweet out new casting for Fast and Furious 10 and revealed that Brie Larson is the latest person to join that franchise. And it is funny, we've already made the joke about The Rock dropped out and then they like got Momoa. So it's just like now they're like collecting big superheroes, There's like
it's funny because Brie Larson coming from has doing like acclaimed smaller indie films, winning an Oscar, and then leaping into something like Captain Marvel, which you could argue is the indiest, that and Eternals being the indiest of like the MCU movies. But yeah, and then the picture chosen was like, I don't know. I felt like the picture was trying a little too hard as far as like outtakes, as far as like we're best friends. Like
that's like, Vin Diesel's whole.
That's what I mean. Like it's so
presence.
funny. It's like,
yeah.
It's like for all I feel like they just met, and he wants it to feel like they've known each other for 10 years, and like they make each other laugh every weekend. What a funny joke. But yeah. Well, he is nothing but not like hard on his sleeve as far as this franchise, and dead serious about what it means to him and like protecting it, and so this isn't necessarily a knock on him, is what I'm saying.
He's just kind of what he does. Interesting character. Now it's funny because the last thing he'd posted before this was there are angels coming to this mythology that will make you all smile. I mean, in the middle of that was a big post about getting ready for Fast 10. And then with her, he said, you see this angel over my shoulder cracking me up? So she's one of the angels, Matt, but he said angels plural, and Momoa's already been announced. So we have to guess what other angels are Vin's angels.
But now that since they've been to space, are we talking like heavenly angels? Like what direction is Fast 10 going in? Like, what are we seeing here? Are these archangels? Are we getting into I don't know what's happening. Are they literally going to be have to prevent Armageddon from happening? A biblical?
It's very possible. Satan could be the final boss. Like that's why they ultimately team up with Cypher.
Well, I'm going to spoil a movie for everyone. So those who don't want the end reveal spoiled for Angel Heart, and by the way, if you watch Angel Heart starring Mickey Rourke, Robert De Niro, and Lisa Bonet, this isn't like this is probably the worst kept secret in the movie. Is like Robert De Niro goes. Actually, I'm not going to spoil the ultimate end. I'm just spoiling one part. Robert De Niro hires Mickey Rourke's PI character to find someone. Robert De Niro's character's name is Louis Cypher, which is Lucifer. Eric,
what?
He's the devil.
What? I'm going to spit my water and ruin my computer.
So I would love it if that's who Cypher turned out.
Oh my god, Lucy Cypher.
My name is Lucy Cypher,
and I'm loose.
And it's Judgment Day. Surprise! All right, let's move on here to the Stranger Things season 4 teaser, kind of full trailer, right?
Well, the way Netflix works, I mean, Stranger Things is such a big deal. Now, we have to remember the crazy thing, as our friend Megan O'Keefe pointed out, the first teaser for Stranger Things Season 4 debuted before the pandemic in early 2020, the one that was just like the Russian prison one.
Yeah, that was like Hopper's Alive, yeah.
Yeah. We keep joking and lamenting the movies that we've seen trailers for over 2 years because of the pandemic. But Stranger Things is a TV show that began promoting a new season before the pandemic that we still haven't seen. But this is like the first full trailer. There'll probably be one more.
But unlike the movie trailers we had to see over and over again with each new like pushback and delay. We weren't inundated over the past 2 years with just like new Stranger Things teasers for season 4.
Right.
They did leave that gap open. So it wasn't new, but it felt new to so many.
Right.
Yeah. So we've got a big, everyone split up and spread out after the last season. And so we've got the Byers and 11 in California. Where are they? And then Sunnydale? Is it a Hellmouth situation? You think they're in LA? I can't remember where they were going.
I do not recall as well.
But everyone else stayed back.
It's been a minute since we saw the last season.
Everyone else is back in Hawkins still, and Hopper's over in the Soviet Union somewhere in a icy, frozen, isolated gulag fighting demigorgons. And also helping his adopted / surrogate daughters, Yelena and Natasha.
Yes.
And their Black Widow escapades. Okay, so and there was a new creepy bad guy dropped, which was sort of like this finally like almost sort of a human formed evil central horror figure who can speak that is apparently based on the Archlich of D&D lore, as many of these creatures are, at least the kids associate them with D&D characters.
Yes.
And Robert Englund is in there. I understand that Robert Englund himself approached the Duffer Brothers about appearing on this show, and there he is.
There he is with his eyes apparently gone.
Are they sewn up or
creepy.
something? Or
sewn up, something weird, something going on there.
Do you think he met Freddy in a dream? And Freddy's like, I used to see ya, not my best work, sorry, and then killed him. Yeah.
It's certainly possible. It's certainly very possible. It's funny. Yeah, I mean, look, everyone has joked about how it's taken so long between seasons, and B, these kids aren't kids anymore. Well, they're 17 to 20 now. Now they're like the regular, like now they're creeping into like what we expect actors playing high school kids to be in real life, as they're creeping in towards their 20s. But here's what I think, Matt. All the younger kids, I should say, the older kids are a whole different story. Like Joe Keery is almost 30, but the younger kids are still like, 20 and under. They were born this millennium. So they can still play high school kids. It's fine. This trailer was really cool. Like Stranger Things, it can't be like, has like white hot as it was a few years ago, simply because people move on, and it has been a long time between seasons. But this trailer was a very cool trailer, and I was like, hey, this I want to see this. I'm happy that they did what I expected, which is they announced season 5, not this season, which is 4, but the next one is the final one after this. So now it's that thing of like, it's all heading towards an ending. This has been kind of the crown jewel for Netflix. So you figured they were gonna milk it a bit more than their usual.
They wish something else had popped off in between, like since the last season and now, as far as like their new Stranger Things, because
I mean Squid Game. And we've had 2 Bridgerton seasons since.
Bridgerton is big. Bridgerton's big. Yeah. Witcher was big season 1, dropped in season 2.
Felt like there was a lot less, hype on season 2.
Which makes me sad for the showrunner who has a 7-season plan, which I don't think you should ever have with Netflix. And I tweeted that out 2 years ago when the first Witcher season started, and some people were like, "Wait, why not? What about this?" And I'm like, "You're high."
Because of history,
because of what they do now, because of what they've been doing for the past like basically 4 years is with their shows.
Yeah, like they just announced Lock and Key 3rd and final season, and I was like, of course. And look, at least they're gonna get an ending. That's better than shows in the past would have. But you have to go in with a 3-year plan, I think, now, and hope because they'll still cancel things after 1 or 2 seasons. But I think if you are a basic success for them, you get 3 right now. So that makes
that's the other thing is you and I have talked about how normal genre television, serialized TV worked, which is that as the longer shows go on, the more the audience drops, and that is not what they're looking for. They only want shows that grow, so they take them only up to the top of the mountain, and then once the decline starts, they exit. So now they just anticipate the decline. So now they're like, okay, 3 is the magic number, because after 3,
because they almost never get more viewers after 3. Yeah,
exactly.
One little thing, by the way, I wanted to mention is just it is very interesting. And I don't currently watch anything regularly on the CW, which is funny because a few years ago I was watching a lot on the CW. But the Arrowverse shows kind of lost me, even though at one point I was watching all of them and I was really digging most of them. But it's fascinating to me to see how different things are this year, where they gave a bunch of early renewals, but they didn't give them all. CW for many years would be like, here's everything gets renewed early if it's debuted. If they're still waiting for mid-season, they'd wait a little longer. But almost always it's like, everything's safe. You're great. And they've been very big on giving everything a proper ending, which has been a nice thing. But this year, Legends of Tomorrow and Batwoman, I know they're not the only shows, but those 2 stand out because they are Arrowverse shows, have not been renewed. The other Arrowverse shows have been renewed, but those 2 have not. And for the first time, they're like, there's like campaigns, and like the writers' Twitter account for these shows are like trying to like get people to like push for Legends of Tomorrow to come back. And it's just weird because I'm so used to that not being the case. So I'm like, that'd be so weird if Legends of Tomorrow, which has been for years on CW, and I know they introduced like Donald Faison as Booster Gold in the finale and stuff, if it just like doesn't have an ending. So even though I'm not even regularly watching that show anymore, Legends was the one I stuck with the most. I hope they get to come back for final seasons because it's the CW has
even the
change, but
even if they give them a shorter season, because sometimes that's what happened on the CW too.
Yeah. I mean, even Nikita was the most extreme, where they got 6 episodes, which of course is a full MCU show. But I was like, hey, I'll take the 6. It was funny to go from 3 22 episode seasons to a 6, but 6 is better than 0. So we'll see if that might be the case for one or both of these shows.
That's my view on Constructicons too. So 6 is better than 0.
6 is better. That's right.
All right. All right. Let's get into some emails and or some Patreons too. I guess some emails and Patreon messages. The first one though is an email from David. Hello, Mattitude Eric. I wanted to tell you, and this is bleeding over a little bit into our We Enjoy Wrestling content. I wanted to tell you about a surprising encounter I had meeting a wrestler on Friday night. I live in the Palm Springs area. And Matt, I did hear you mention that you've been here for Coachella years ago. That's true. It's very hot. That's my takeaway. It looked nice.
My wife and I go to Palm Springs every couple years for a let's just basically stay in the pool and air-conditioned restaurants weekend.
Like just in a hotel, like a resorty thing, or okay. Yeah. At David's house, where are you doing?
Just in a hotel.
All right. I do a side hustle of doing deliveries for Uber Eats and Grubhub. David, Grubhub canceled my order tonight, just so you know.
Oh no, David,
I had a whole order, but for some reason something went wrong. Anyway, continuing. I had gotten a pickup for a gelato ice cream for an Adam S. I did the pickup and took it to the Embassy Suites. When I got there, I saw Adam walking toward me, and it turned out to be it was a huge Jack guy, also known as Braun Strowman. So his real name's Adam Scher. I was like, I know you. He told me, don't tell anyone, with a big smile, and I gave him the gelato. The reason why he's in the area is because Alexa Bliss is getting married this weekend in Palm Springs. And I imagine that gelato got, quote unquote, those hands. That's a wrestling thing, everyone. Thank you for the podcast, and thank you for the message, David, on one of the wrestling guests, I guess, for Alexa Bliss's wedding, because she got her wedding covered by like People Magazine, and some other tabloids like covered it and so. But the one that seemed to have all the wrestlers at was Corey Graves and Carmella's wedding.
No, they a ton of wrestlers were also Alexa Bliss's.
Okay, good.
What I was going to say is that, because People Magazine had the exclusive. I mean, again, it's like celebrities have to decide if they're going to do something like this. Alexa Bliss and Ryan Cabrera, am I saying his last name right?
Yeah, Cabrera, I think. Yeah.
They had obviously made a deal with People to have sort of the exclusive announcement pictures of their wedding. So it was funny because what happened was, because so many people who attended Carmella and Corey Graves' wedding had already posted all these pictures, Alexa Bliss, People Magazine posts about it, and it's like, pretty pictures of the couple. And the first thing people said is, oh, none of their wrestling friends apparently wanted to go to this one. And then it turned out most of them had been to that one too. It's just clearly everyone was asked, do not post until People posts. And then after that, pictures were posted, including ones of Braun Strowman.
My favorite ones from Corey and Carmella's was Renee Paquette with Jon Moxley, her husband. Jon Moxley, I feel like he flew in from his wrestling gig, because he was wearing his like fanny pack, leather jacket, like just plain old shirt, wrestling boots. Like he did not look like he was dressed for a wedding, even a wedding reception. So I actually commend him for that. So because I think that was done in the middle of the week, because it was like between Raw and SmackDown. And so for him, he would have been coming out of Dynamite and Rampage and stuff. So yeah.
Well, I'm sending you this in the chat, Matt. Sorry, I can't send it to all of you. But if you Google Braun Strowman, Alexa Bliss wedding, you'll see that Braun went for, I think everyone was asked probably to wear pink if they could. But Braun Strowman looks striking.
And he's still dating. I see he's still dating Raquel Gonzalez too.
Yeah.
Who just got her main roster call up. And So prayers for Raquel.
Look at David getting us to talk about wrestlers here.
I know, and everyone's like, "Who? What? Talk about Jennifer Lopez instead." We'll get there.
We'll get there. Yeah.
Okay. Jeff Solomon writes in on Patreon. We know Jeff Solomon. Hey, Attitude Eric. And this is a bit of a womp womp. You'll see. All right, you ready for this?
I don't know if I approve. I don't know if I sanction this buffoonery, but okay.
Ready for this? Do you sanction the buffoonery? What about this shenaniganery? Okay. Right. Hey, Attitude Eric. With all the recent talk of Bruce Willis, I was wondering if either of you had ever seen Hudson Hawk. It used to play a lot on Comedy Central, and I know Eric's mom is friendly with Danny Aiello, so I thought there might be a chance to hear your thoughts. It was a real departure for. Oh, Jeff, I already called myself out as top clown on this one.
Catch the hawk, Matt always is.
Catch the hawk, ride the snake. All right, Mike writes in on Patreon. Hello, Enjoy Boys. That's the first time I think we've been
Enjoy Boys.
The Enjoy Boys. I like that. That sounds like a Vegas review. Sounds like one of the I think there are 2, if not 3, Australian Chippendales type shows going in Vegas. Thunder Down Under. There's a couple others, and they're all Australian. Yeah.
I was gonna say that We Enjoy Boys sound like a group that Magic Mike and his friends will have to face off against in Magic Mike 3.
Magic Mike, pertinent to today's main event, directed by Steven Soderbergh. All right.
That's right.
So anyway, Mike Salvia writes in, I was born in Paraguay. And even though I don't have much of a connection, I love to see Paraguayan characters, which are rare, and Paraguay as a setting. Thank you, Doom Patrol. Last time I saw Anaconda was on a rented VHS, and I didn't know I was Paraguayan yet. So... I guess, yeah. So he didn't know.
But you found yourself empathizing.
But he was drawn to Paul Cerrone's character, to John Voight's portrayal. So thanks for letting me know I could add Paul Cerrone to the list. Though he kind of feels more like a Nazi who escaped to Paraguay type character or whatever.
I like the backstory.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Nazi turned priest in Paraguay, right? Because he was supposed to be a former priest.
That's right. Yeah.
Also, have you seen the news about the Spirit Halloween movie?
Yes.
Do you think there'll be OC monsters, or do you think they'll do trendy IP mashups? Fingers crossed for a Chucky cameo. Knee lift, Mike.
I mean, Chucky was on SNL this weekend, so
that's true. He was. Chucky goes to HR.
The Spirit. I am guessing no familiar IP characters in the Spirit Halloween movie. Although maybe they get Leprechaun in there, I don't know. But I would love if they got to do like a full Ready Player One with it, and embrace it all. Yeah, there's a Spirit Halloween movie. It sounds like kind of Night of the Museum-y, about like a spirit store where things are coming to life, and Christopher Lloyd's in it, and Rachel Lee Cook,
and like
very wacky.
Owen Wilson's incredibly small and tiny. Nicolas Cage is also tiny because he's Tiny Elvis. It's a lot. All right. Let's get into next week's main event, and then we'll do our good things to enjoy as far as like what their assignment is as we continue our J-Lo block here. Eric and I are on Twitter at the Matt Fowler and the Eric Goldman. The podcast is at We Enjoy Podcast. You can find us on Patreon for a couple dollars a month. You can get a completely uninterrupted ad-free version of this podcast at patreon.com/We Enjoy Podcast.
And you can email us.
You can email us at weenjoypodcast@gmail.com. And business out of the way, next week's movie is The Cell. Again, The Cell. CELL. And this will be sort of the first, maybe Anaconda is. I feel like this is the first headlining J-Lo movie as far as like top billed, only one on the poster. Right,
Selena. Remember we talked.
No, that we've done so far.
Oh, that we've done. We've
done like so far.
Yeah. Anaconda was sold as a monster movie with an ensemble. This is
right, and like Out of Sight is sort of like a two-fister, right? It's she's splitting the headline with Clooney, and so this one is like J-Lo versus a serial killer in his mind, and you wouldn't know it from the poster or really anything, but Vince Vaughn is sort of a supporting role in this. But yeah, so what's his name? Kingpin.
D'Onofrio.
Vincent D'Onofrio.
The Cell, not to be confused with the Halle Berry movie, The Call, which Halle Berry was tweeted about her amusement that it's the #1 movie on Netflix right now. With
And
the
people
weirdness.
think, and again, like we've discussed, people probably think it's like a weird new Halle Berry movie that just arrived on Netflix. Which, and I will say this, it's not a bad movie. I enjoyed
That's what I've heard. That's what I've heard.
It was a WW Films acquisition. I don't know,
like Oculus.
I think so, except it actually there was a wrestler in it. David Otunga is in it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, Karen Gillan was like a tag champ, remember?
Karen Gillan was the 24/7 champion.
That's right. That's right. Oh, that'd be so good. Do you know how much I would mark out of Karen Gillan? just for even 5 minutes, 30 seconds, even if she became the 24/7 champion.
Oh, as Nebula, that'd be great.
Gillan.
All right,
but don't watch The Cell. I mean, you can watch The Cell.
Do watch The Cell.
You watch The Cell. I'm confusing myself here. The Call is not the movie. The Cell is the movie, but you can enjoy them both. We're only going to talk about The Cells.
Okay, and it's once again on Hoopla.
Hoopla.
And or Rentable.
This podcast is brought to you by Big Hoopla.
Lots of hoopla going on here.
We have no sponsorship from Hoopla.
Okay. We only have sponsorship from Freevee.
We didn't talk about Freevee. IMDb TV has been renamed Amazon Freevee. It's weird. Yeah.
Yep, that's definitely what something should be called in 2022. Just Freevee. Sure. There were no other options in the world of words. All right. And now let's get into our good things to enjoy. All right, Eric, you're up. What's up? Because mine's Hudson Hawk, so you should probably go first.
And what if there's a different version of this podcast, or that's your bit? It's like every single week.
That's my Mac and Me, like Paul Rudd on Conan shows.
Right? Like, you do you make it sound like it's something different each week, and then it's like that's enough.
This one is a sly little romance. I like to call
a searing political thriller.
This one's a historical heist movie.
Before I go into my official good thing to enjoy, I'll do my usual physical media forever kick and say I just watched my review copy. It's out now, so everyone can enjoy it. But I watched my review copy of the 4K of Spider-Man: No Way Home, that obscure movie, which Matt, is a great movie. I just want to say it still holds up as a great movie, and B, it looks freaking great. It looked so good. I know now that it's on home media. It's like the thing du jour to be like, oh, look at the terrible effects in this movie, and people like pull out like an individual shot that they can be like, oh, obvious green screen, whatever. I'm just like, I'm not saying every single effect is perfect because no movie is perfect, and yeah, I'm sure that there's Spider-Man: No Way Home was a COVID movie in that they had to shoot a lot more away from like crowds and stuff that they ever intended to when they were planning it. But that movie freaking completely works, and I thought it looked really great on the 4K transfer, and it sounded great, and the extras are really fun. They have a round table with the 3 main villains. They have a round table with the 3 Spider-Mans. We're not keeping that a secret anymore. There's 3 Spider-Mans in it. I actually wish there was something a little more in depth. It's such a huge movie, like popularity wise. I felt like they deserved like a full documentary or something. But lots of fun, cool featurettes, and it really, really looked cool. I thought the 4K transfer. So I endorse a movie that doesn't need my endorsement, but it turned out really, really well. So Spider-Man: No Way Home, the 4K. But my official thing to enjoy, I can say words. Beyond Spider-Man is Girl from Plainville, which is currently about halfway through. I think it's a little more than halfway through. It's a mini series on Hulu, which if you haven't been watching it, I think you've probably at least seen the ads for it, starring Elle Fanning. With a pretty well-known story from our recent past. It's funny, Matt. I don't know how much you would follow this story when it happened, the Michelle Carter story when she was on trial and whatnot. I didn't follow it that much, but I remember reading a big article about it, kind of in the middle of the trial, or maybe right after she was convicted.
No, I don't know anything about it. I don't like people from Plainville.
Oh, okay. It's a true, it's an interesting.
No,
time
I don't know.
right now.
I don't know anything about it. Yeah.
it's a very, there's been it's an interesting split of people who are like, why do we need, this story of something from the recent past, and is it sensationalizing it, or is it, I don't know, like, putting, there's always going to be the fear of like, making something too sympathetic that's an awful thing. But this story in a nutshell, if you don't know it, and Matt didn't, and like I said, I'm not as familiar as some were, but is that Michelle Carter was a teenage girl who had a mostly digital romance with a boy that she had met in person, but then they lived an hour apart and they were like, teenagers. So they barely saw each other, but they texted constantly. And that he was, had a lot of issues and troubles and was suicidal. And she was basically convicted of manslaughter for goading him in his suicide. For like, they had all her texts telling him to do it and not, encouraging it, and, telling him to do it and go through with it. And it became kind of this, a very sort of strange of the now case, this horrible tragedy, this kid kills himself. But then it's like, in the digital era, is someone guilty of a crime for telling someone who's suicidal, go through with it? They didn't push them, physically. She wasn't even in the same town with him. But this happened. And anyway, Elle Fanning stars in this, and she is excellent. Has the titular character, Liz Hannah, who is kind of the main creator. She'd already worked with Elle Fanning on All the Bright Places, which I thought was a pretty decent Netflix movie they made together. And she'd written Long Shot, the Seth Rogen, Charlize Theron movie, and The Post, the Spielberg movie. But I think the way they approach this is really interesting and nuanced. It is certainly, the controversial thing is always going to be, like I said, because what she did is no matter what, horrible thing. But then you get into where her mind was and what is going on with this girl that would do this thing, and the fact that she had a lot of issues and problems and was a very sort of had no friends, a needy person, what was going on with her. And Matt, even though I'm not saying that this is not nowhere near as good as, although I think it's very good, there are some interesting echoes to Heavenly Creatures here, because it's a true story with a terrible, sad ending. And again, an ending where you can't like let these people off the hook, but it's kind of like, well, what happened here? And also because of her inner life, because something that's a very strange thing that's going to, of course, cause some strange amusement when you're watching it is her obsession with Glee, which is a real life thing that Glee was airing when she was in this romance, and that she glommed onto this show. She was obsessed with it. She wanted to like be Leah Michelle in that show, and they show this through like there's literally like an imaginary musical, like a sequence in her mind where she and this boy are singing to each other and they're dressed like the characters from Glee. That is very reminiscent of what they do in Heavenly Creatures, and is taken from real life in so much as she might not have done that, but she was so like projecting onto them and like using quotes from Glee in her messages as if they were things she thought of. Anyway, I think it's really good. I've seen the whole thing. There's a few more episodes. The latter half is not quite as compelling because the latter half is where the courtroom stuff comes in and it becomes more of a courtroom drama to some extent, which I think is it just doesn't feel quite as interesting, but it's great and engaging. Chloe 70 plays the mother of the boy and who's trying to process what the hell happened here. And this girl who she never knew, but had this close relationship with her son. And at first is like being very comforting. And then it turns out has this horrific role in his death. And yeah, I think it's really interesting, really well done. It did make me kind of go and look up everything about the story and watch the HBO miniseries documentary. There was an HBO documentary about all this. So yeah, it's a both a tough story as far as like this is terrible and this is sad, but it's also just like it doesn't have a clear answer, right? It's not like you can be like I don't think at the end they try to be like, and this is exactly why she did this, but they give you enough like here what was going on with these two troubled young people who probably it was the worst thing ever for them to fall in love because they both had all these issues that collided into this way. So
all right, that sounds really interesting. Also, worth noting that Liz Hannah has another Hulu show, or actually one that just wrapped up, Not one that she created because it was created by Liz Merriweather, but she was an executive producer and writer for, which was The Dropout.
That's right.
Which also Dropout, the premiere and some of the other episodes of The Dropout were directed by Michael Showalter, who has just become this really interesting standout director as a former member of The State, the MTV comedy troupe, that I didn't know he directed The Eyes of Tammy Faye.
I did know that, but I was very surprised when I found it out. Yeah.
Until she thanked him in the Oscar speech. And I was like, what? Okay.
Oh, wow. You really? Wow. That's
no, I didn't know until Oscar night that he directed that movie. And just got thanked. So yeah, that's my journey.
Oh, and then one other thing I want to say is I appreciate an artistic choice they made in The Girl from Plainville, which is how do you depict a relationship that was like 90% texting, and their artistic way of doing that, which I think totally works, is having the actors in the same room in like almost like a manifestation. It's like if she's in her bedroom texting him, then they'll like pan over and he's sitting there with her. And we understand he was not teleporting there, that it's like, okay, this is how we put these two actors together, and we don't just watch text the whole thing. But anyway, and Aya Cash is really good in it too, playing the lawyer
from You're the Worst. And you know that Showalter is directing
and The Boys.
Showalter is directing, spoiler alert, the Michael Osceola movie.
Oh no, that's right. I forgot about that. Yeah, that's great. Yeah.
All right. So that's on Hulu, you said, right?
That's on Hulu. Yeah.
Okay.
I keep saying sorry. One last thing is that people were shocked about there's a bunch of Glee footage in it, which is crazy until you realize Glee is now owned by Disney because they bought 20th Century Fox, and Hulu is Disney, and how they were like, hey, we want to use your footage in a really weird kind of creepy way. But yeah, it's there it is.
And they were like, fuck yeah, finally.
Right.
All right. My pick this week is a comedy special, but in the vein of comedy specials that have sort of cropped up over the more recent years, like Hannah Gadsby or In and of Itself or Bo Burnham's Inside, where it's sort of like half laughs, half sort of like catharsis and like sort of I don't know, just sort of dramatic revelations. And
it almost reminds me of how HBO and Showtime started to shift what we thought of as a comedy into something else with these sort of dramedy. I'm talking like scripted series, but now stand-up is.
But now stand-up does it, where somebody will actually get up there and talk and be serious for long stretches of time instead of like and then come back with humor, but humor to sort of lighten the load a little bit, not for the sake of the fact that it's a comedy special and we need laughs, but just because that's the way we deal with things. This is from Gerard Carmichael. So Gerard Carmichael had The Carmichael Show, which ran for a few seasons a few years back, and it was something that he created himself. It was sort of semi-autobiographical. He was a writer, creator, producer on that show, and he's just been a stand-up for a while. His first stand-up special was directed by Spike Lee, his second by Bo Burnham, and now his third, called Rothaniel, is also directed by Bo Burnham. And it is basically, and so I don't think this is a spoiler alert, because I think that's what people know what this is, this is Gerard Carmichael coming out.
Yeah.
And the people in the audience, it would have been a spoiler alert because they didn't know it. They were just going to see a Gerard Carmichael special. And it is fascinating as far as just a just under an hour session of gripping and emotional storytelling, because he's a great storyteller. And it's about him and his background and his father growing up and his mother, and there's sort of the secrets that he kept for his family, and that growing up in a house of secrets, but then him having a secret of his own. And it's not that he was using this to come out to his family and friends. He had done that already. Mm-hmm. It was just to the public. And it's great. And it's a very intimate comedic setting. It's not like an auditorium or anything like that. It's sort of like it looks more like a music club or smaller comedy club. And he gets really candid and confessional at points, and the audience interacts in a very interesting way that where they start actually conversing with him and asking him questions, and he answers them because he turns it into sort of a dialogue. And there's a point where you feel like he doesn't really know what to say next, because he's this is fresh for him. He's still in the middle of this, and he's still sort of working things out in his own mind and working things out in his own life. And so he gets to a point where, he gets a little flustered at times. He doesn't know because it's all still raw and scary for him. Anyway, it's tremendous. Just a tremendous sort of blend of comedy and real life, sort of coming together in the way that these specials do now, as far as like, it's not just, I wouldn't call it a stand-up special. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's on HBO Max. It was an HBO. It aired on HBO as a stand-up special per se, but now you can see it on HBO Max.
Yeah, I need to watch this. I hear nothing but great things. Jared Carmichael is a great stand-up comic, and he's not like he hasn't broken out in that like huge celebrity way. He's successful, but he hosted SNL recently, and he was great. And his monologue began with talking about how he knew a lot of people watching didn't know who he was, and then he turned it into this great monologue. I don't know if you saw his appearance on Seth Meyers right after this special came out, which it's funny because I haven't seen the special, but I've seen all the other stuff he's doing. He had a great interview on Seth Meyers, which they let run kind of like uninterrupted for like 15 minutes. That kind of like his special, it sounds like, got kind of serious and heavy because he talked about, like you mentioned, his parents already knew that he was gay, but then the special comes out, so now he's going to be out sort of publicly, which led to more conversations with his parents and sort of what that entails, and having parents who are like, they haven't cast him out, they love him, and yet they still think he's morally like sinful. And
that's part of what he's sort of getting at is like he talks about his mom a lot on this special, but also knowing she's going to see this special.
Right.
And hearing things that he probably didn't say to her in person at that point. So,
yeah. So, even that Seth Meyers appearance, was really good, like really interesting. I thought Seth Meyers handled it really well as far as like not trying to be like, let's stay goofy and light, like letting it be like, oh, we're going to talk about something kind of serious here. So really good. And yeah, he's just really talented guy. The Carmichael Show. I'd say it's an underrated sitcom, which is funny because it was actually very critically acclaimed, just no one was watching it.
It was, and it was sort of like a really topical, envelope pushing, you could say controversial show because it was talking about things like Black Lives Matter and racism and stuff like that, and it wasn't shying away from issues on that show. He's also a producer, not just producing the Carmichael Show, but Lil Rel Howery's show, Lil Rel, and Raimi, which is another Hulu show that just got renewed for a third season that I've heard great things about. I haven't seen it yet, but yeah.
Rami, when you watch it, you'll know.
Is it Rami?
Yeah. Also, he was in Transformers The Last Night, so I want to hear his stories about making that movie.
I want to hear his stories about what is that the one with TJ Miller?
No, that was the one with Anthony Hopkins. TJ Miller was in the one before that.
What was that? Age of Extinction?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Those movies.
All right. All right. Those were our recommendations this week. Rathaniel and Girl from Plainview. Ville. Like Cruella de Vil. Okay. Let's talk about Out of Sight. All right. I'm going to try my best to not be so insufferably horny about this movie.
But
I'm horned. I'm horned, Eric. I'm horned.
It's just these two gorgeous people, and all they're doing is being sexy and charismatic, and like they feel very smart. And
the scene when he pulls her, when she's fully clothed, he pulls her into the tub. I know it's a dream sequence, but oh my god, that whole thing. I think it's also just rare that you get a sexy movie that isn't an erotic thriller.
Right.
Like, how often do you get a sexy movie that's like this tone, this topic?
You're right, because either you have a romantic comedy, which aren't traditionally sexy, they can be funny and there could be good chemistry, but they're not about trying to be sexy, or you get the erotic thriller, which is like, okay, we're going to go for the steamy sex scenes. This managed to thread the needle by not being either of those things, and yet being completely about this dynamic between them and a super sexy movie.
All right. Let's talk about JLo in this. So JLo is following up Anaconda. This is the next year. I can't remember when U-Turn came out. It was the same year as this, but maybe it was before this.
U-Turn was the end of 97, I think. I think U-Turn was in between Anaconda and this.
Okay, so then Out of Sight comes out, and Clooney is coming off of a hit TV run that sort of gave him his career after struggling for so long, and then doing a few movies, doing the Batmans. Let's see, what was Clooney up to at this point? That's the thing.
I was going to say about Clooney is that I honestly feel like he was struggling a little because he was the breakout of ER. Everyone's like, this guy is a megastar. This guy is a movie star. Get him in movies. But it had been a bit of a rocky start.
But I think he did good things before this because he did From Dusk Till Dawn.
Yes.
Which was like his first big movie from ER. But then Batman and Robin, which was
and it wasn't a big movie, which I think was the right call because it was a low budget genre movie. So it didn't need to be a blockbuster, It was like, hey, it's like this fun little midnight movie.
But then in the year of our Lord Anaconda, 1997, he did Batman and Robin, but also The Peacemaker, which I previously recommended as a good thing to enjoy. So I really liked The Peacemaker. I think it actually did well too.
I think it did okay, but I will say I feel like 97 was a little bit of a tough year for him because obviously Batman and Robin was just, like the very scorned movie, but also. I think The Peacemaker, there were higher expectations. Peacemaker was the first ever movie from DreamWorks, and it was okay received, but I think people wanted it, a little more both box office and just like what they were hoping from like the first movie from this new studio from these giant guys. So,
but he was right with this movie. I think with Out of Sight, he was about to enter his most successful and critically acclaimed period as far as like maybe I'm not talking about huge blockbuster movies, Ocean's 11 aside, but like Out of Sight, Three Kings, Perfect Storm which was a hit.
Brother Where Art Thou.
He was directing too. So Confessions of a Dangerous Mind he directed, but starred in Oh Brother Where Art Thou, Syriana, where he won his Oscar, Michael Clayton, which some think is be hard to argue is his best movie. And at some point here, same year as Syriana, big year for Clooney, 2005, Good Night and Good Luck.
Yeah.
So this sort of like kicked it off. And at this point too, director Steven Soderbergh was on the rise, having debuted sort of in 1989 with Sex, Lies and Videotape, an independent film that got him basically kickstarted his career. I always remember that movie being in the 90s, but I guess it was 1989.
No, I mean, that movie is important both because it was the start of Soderbergh's career, but also it was like one of the first Miramax breakout hits. You know?
But nobody would also have a better year than Soderbergh in 2000 and 2001 with Aaron Brockovich, Traffic, where he won his Oscar, and then Ocean's 11, which started the Ocean's trilogy.
Yeah, I mean, this movie is notable. Out of Sight is notable because it's the first time Soderbergh and Clooney are going to work together, and they've worked together a million times since. But also Soderbergh, who has always remained to this day a mainstream, go back and forth guy. And Out of Sight was the first time he did a pure studio movie. He'd done a couple movies for Gramercy, which were at the time kind of Universal's art house division. But this was his first like Universal, big stars, big studio movie. And a lot of people who do that never go back, but he would always go back. Like he would constantly go back and forth.
He does different genres. He does different budgets. He shot a fucking movie on an iPhone 7. Yeah. It's like as an experiment. And I think he still does and always has. He's his own cinematographer.
Mm-hmm.
He directs and he's his director of photography. He's behind the camera, doing it all. All right. And then we've got just a dream cast here. We've got Don Cheadle, who
I'd forgotten a lot of these people were in this film.
I watch this movie every couple of years.
So, I haven't seen this movie probably about, I don't know, not 20 years, but maybe 15 years.
Wow. Yeah. So Don Cheadle following up Boogie Nights, and I think the first movie I saw him in, which was Devil in a Blue Dress.
So two of Ocean's 11 are in this movie. has enemies.
And Ving Rhames, who is already a big star, getting sort of a huge career boost from Pulp Fiction, but then was also in Mission Impossible and Con Air and other movies before this. Zahn was no slouch, but he was still sort of up and coming after Reality Bites, That Thing You Do. Catherine Keener, who's not a huge part of this movie, but she was in like really well-regarded 90s indies films, which was Living in Oblivion and Walking and Talking. And there's the Elmore Leonard of it all. Elmore Leonard is a crime novelist who has had many of his works turned into movies since the 70s.
But in the mid to late 90s, had a moment.
Because of Get Shorty.
Yeah.
Which was a few years before this, which is another reason DeVito is a producer on this, bought the rights to this book. The book Out of Sight came out, I believe, in just a few years before this movie. And so it was a recent book, even though Elmore Leonard's books go back to the 70s. So there are Elmore Leonard movies in the 70s, in the 80s, in the 90s. They're still making Elmore Leonard stuff. Some of his books have been made into movies more than once. 52 Pickup has been adapted a couple times. And we've already talked about it on this podcast. I think it was a good thing to enjoy that you recommended, Eric, which was Jackie Brown, which was Quentin Tarantino's adaptation of Rum Punch,
which opened like 6 months before this. So yeah, it's like the Get Shorty in 95, I think. And then 2 years later, or 2 years later, you get Jackie Brown. 6 months after that, you get Out of Sight. They're all great, by the way.
Yeah, they're all great. So, and also if you're listening to this and you weren't sort of out and about and aware in the 80s and 90s and so on, as far as these movies, you're a little younger, maybe you watch TV and watch a show called Justified, which is based on an Elmore Leonard short story and a character in the Elmore Leonard universe, because his universe is sort of all connected.
Yeah.
And what you're looking at as far as Justified is the Elmore Leonard tone, which is the breezy banter, the dumb smart crooks, or smart dumb, however you want to pair together those polar opposite terms. Mm-hmm. And there's a very certain tone and vibe where there's violence and death, but it's not the focus of any of this. It's like it's the result of it, but it's not the focus. And yeah, the dialogue pops and the characters are sharp, and even the dumb ones are smart in their own way. You know what I mean? Right. So no one's actually out there being a stupid idiot. It's just yeah. So and we can bring up at the top here. And I never saw this show. I never saw any of it. And it was sad to see you tweeting about how it's not available anywhere.
Yeah.
Which is that Karen Sisco, who's the federal marshal character that Jennifer Lopez plays in this movie, got turned in the wake of this into a TV series on CBS called Karen Sisco. And it only lasted, what was it? ABC?
Yeah.
Okay. Did it only last a season, 10 episodes or something?
10 episodes, one season. Yeah.
And it was Carla Gugino, and for all intents and purposes, everything I've seen about it, she was perfect, and the show captured the tone properly.
And Robert Forster played her dad,
so getting a little Jackie Brownness in there.
Mm-hmm.
And then that show was short-lived and underwatched. Carla Gugino appeared as Karen Sisco, but with her name changed. On Justified in an episode. So the episode that she appeared on Justified, interacting with Raylan Givens, another federal marshal, she was basically Karen Sisco.
Yes, and it's funny with everyone is so hyper aware of when Marvel characters, like with the Fox Marvel movies and with Spider-Man and Sony, about when the Marvel rights are split up, but it's not unique to Marvel at all. A big example in the past decade, of course, was how everyone became hyper aware that Silence of the Lambs had been optioned separately from all the other Hannibal books. And so that Clarice, Buffalo Bill, and anything introduced in that book are never allowed to be part legally, or it can't be part of the stories of all the other Hannibal books because they've been, optioned to a different studio. And it's the same thing with Edward Leonard. I mean, it's the same thing with Stephen King. All these people who've created these like shared universe books because people especially 30, 40 years ago, were never thinking this big. And so they would just option off the book separately, even though the books were connected. And then it becomes an issue. What is funny with Elmore Leonard is that twice they managed to work around it. Karen Sisko showing up on Justified when legally she shouldn't be there. And then they just get away with it by not, they have a funny line about Raylan being like, you changed your last name. And they never say the name Sisko, but that's who she's supposed to play. And then Michael Keaton being in this movie has Ray, what's the last name of that character?
Ray Nicolette. And
Ray Nicolette, who is in, Michael Keaton played Ray Nicolette 6 months before in Jackie Brown. Jackie Brown is like, that was the story he was connected to legally, and there was no legal guarantee they could use Ray Nicolette in Out of Sight, the movie, even though Ray is in the book. But Tarantino got the Weinsteins to let Universal do this. This is the power of Tarantino at that time.
Yeah,
basically knew that they wanted Ray Nicolette in Out of Sight, and he is like, you have to let them use him, even though legally they didn't. And they let him get away with that.
And so you got Ray Nicolette within 6 months. I mean, not within in-universe time, switching from ATF to FBI.
They throw in that line, which is very funny. So it all matches with Jackie Brown. An insane, subtle movie crossover from two different studios at a time when that would certainly have been unprecedented. So a lot of funny moving parts with all of this. Let's just start talking, because then I'll think of what I was going to say. So anyway,
Dreamcast. We'll get into the rest of them as we come across them, but yeah. So Soderbergh, sort of handheld shaky cam, freeze frames. Like, there's a lot of stylistic choices he's making in this movie that make it cool. The score is really fun. The sort of the instrumental stuff by David Holmes, who sort of uses a lot of like Detroit Motown and Quincy Jones stuff as like sort of a inspiration for the bridging music in this movie. And it opens on George Clooney's character walking out of an office, throwing his tie on the ground, freeze frame, great freeze frame with the title card.
One of many freeze frames in the movie, but a very funny one to begin with.
Oh, it's great. And then walking across the street, SunTrust Bank, George Clooney being the Cloon, just amping up the charm of, everything that made him famous on ER, as the gentleman bank robber, the gentleman bandit, and just a smooth criminal. He's the good guy, bad guy, right? Because he doesn't use a gun. He doesn't want to kill people. He just wants to rob banks. There's mention of Clyde Barrow in this movie as far as like, I'm not taking innocent people's money. I'm not robbing from the poor. I'm not taking food out of anyone's mouths. I'm, robbing from corrupt institutions and so on.
Showing that this is a very smart person, because he literally improvises. I'm going to rob a bank. I'm going to walk in there with no weapon, and I'm going to rob this bank. And I'm just going to come up with this whole story about how that's my partner, and he's going to shoot the manager. Just plays it so smooth, and sells it all.
So the funny thing is, like, it's a great way to open it. It's a great way to show how smart he is. Also, like, his backstory is that he robbed over 200 banks, or as he says, they told him he robbed more banks than anyone else in the computer at the time in California. But it's like, this movie is only really almost his fuck ups, right? Like, it's like we're seeing him in two different prison stints, by the way. Yeah. And getting caught, like, he immediately gets caught after talking to this clerk, Loretta, and coming up with this story about his accomplice, who I think is Soderbergh. And like you said, he's great on the fly. If his car hadn't failed, if his car could have turned over, he would have gotten away. It had nothing to do with him messing up on his own or being stupid. It's just, happenstance.
I remember what I was going to say, which is my one big picture thing about Elmore Leonard, which is just to say that Tarantino, of course, is a filter for all these different people that, and in no way, I think Tarantino's great. I'm not like Tarantino's just ripping people off. It's like Tarantino is clearly has these big influences, and then he filters it into a voice that's distinctly him. You can, even if Tarantino had never made Jackie Brown, though, you can see that he loves Elmore Leonard. They are not exactly the same, but there are these echoes there where so it makes total sense that he loves Elmer Leonard, did an Elmer Leonard adaptation, as far as the smart criminal, the bantering criminal, talking.
So that was what I was going to say.
Culture stuff,
The biggest thing that Tarantino takes, and he puts his own spin on it, because usually his characters swear more, they're more vulgar,
and the violence goes more extreme, and
is the criminals talking about other things.
Yes,
criminals talking about things that don't relate to the crime or the heist or whatever. They're talking about life or pop culture, like you said, other things in life, and that's a big thing that it comes from Elmore Leonard too. I don't think I put a cap on the last thing I said, which is that we're watching 2 hours of Jack Foley kind of fuck up and take risks too, obviously with Karen, but at no time do you doubt his intelligence.
Right.
So even though most of his intelligent things seem to be in the past and prequel to this, we don't think he's an idiot because he keeps messing up in this movie. Great opening, and it takes us right into his prison into Glades. So this is Florida, I think, and all we need is this right away. He's playing basketball, he sits down, he sees old men who are going to die in that prison.
Right.
And wow, that's his character. You got it right there. I'm not going to be them. Now he mentions this throughout the movie a few times, which is like, I'm going to have to, I would rather be shot down the street. The way Clyde Barrow died isn't a bad way to go. When they pull a gun on you, you still have a choice, stuff like that. He says that. So it's like, he's not going back no matter what. And it all feeds into the final scene of the movie, or a big scene of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, just all he has to do is look, and it's great. And that immediately goes, and then, because he's smart, he notices things about his fellow inmates, as far as like, we've got Louis Guzman,
who had just been in Boogie Nights with Don Cheadle the year before this.
And notices that he knew that they were escaping, but now knows that they've moved their plan up, and he wants to get out as well. So like, he uses it to his advantage to piggyback on their plan to kind of mess them up. He dresses like a guard,
but try to play it smarter by getting a guard's uniform. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. And this all sort of also, and this is when we meet Catherine Keener's character. Catherine Keener's his ex-wife, Adele, who's a magician's assistant. And through her, we get to Buddy, who's getting a car to help rescue him, played by Ving Rhames. And then we also meet Karen. So like, everyone's about to converge on this prison while Jack tries to make a break for it. And Karen is having is it her birthday, or just he's giving her a birthday present, I think. Her dad, played by the late great Dennis Farina.
Yeah, and Dennis Farina had already been a Get Shorty, so he was already doing Elmer Leonard. But Dennis Farina, a great character actor who in the 80s and 90s in 10 million cops and robbers movies, playing one or the other. A real life ex-cop who played, both sides of the law over and over again. Great, just presence. But this movie gives him like a nice spin on that, because he's playing like a tough lawman, but just by being part of this father-daughter element, which the TV show would be sort of solely focused on, because there's no Jack character. I love Farina in this because you just like, just the way he's like, he's not like a nagging dad. He's like, he's watching out for her, but they have a very fun dynamic, I think, in this.
No, it's good. Yeah, he's not harassing her. He actually just misses her and wants to spend more time with her. And he gives her a gun for Christmas, which is important because this is a gun that will be in the trunk. Yep. Movie's so well made. The movie's great. And it jumps around in time in a way that people were still sort of experimenting with back then. It seems very commonplace right nowadays. It seems very rote and not new.
We should mention, we didn't mention that Scott Frank wrote this movie, who, has gone on to, write Minority Report and The Wolverine and Logan, but he also a couple years ago had like obviously huge success with The Queen's Gambit. That was his show. But this, he already had done stuff before this. He wrote Malice and a few other movies.
I remember that. That was with Alec Baldwin and Nicole Kidman, right? Yeah.
Yes, he had that great the great line about something about, was it you playing God, I am God. I can't remember the exact setup to that.
Yeah,
line.
but did you see that movie?
Yeah,
that was a fake line.
Oh, is it a fake line?
It's a fake. No, it's in the movie, but like he's not earnest when he's saying it. It's part of a trick. Anyway,
but yeah, so even though Scott Frank had written things before Get Shorty, I'm sorry, he also wrote Get Shorty. I forgot to mention that. So Get Shorty and Out of Sight, I think, really kind of solidified him.
And then he was an advisor, executive producer on the Cisco show. So yeah, yeah. And then so Scott Frank wrote it. Time jumps as far now. There's only really two timelines here, but at a certain point in this movie, we get taken back 2 years, and then we follow that up until that sort of leads us up to the beginning of the movie with the tie throwing and stuff like that. So, but yeah, it's two sort of simultaneously running timelines that we, because it's not just one flashback, it's several back to a different prison where everyone wore yellow. Like the colors are great.
And we are still existing. This movie, while again it's doing its own thing, and of course Tarantino being influenced by Leonard, but the studios at this point, because of Pulp Fiction's success, it has given them, I think, it's made it okay for them to feel like, okay, our audiences can handle dueling timelines.
Yeah,
it's we're still living in that post Pulp Fiction thing of like, I think that Pulp Fiction helps get all these movies greenlit.
Yeah, people are still paying attention to movies. Yeah, they're not watching it on their while also being on their phone like Ridley Scott says we are. Millennials, which just means anyone younger than him. Okay, so so the prison break happens. Buddy's there with the car. Jack's upset because we hear someone named Glenn is coming along with another car. We haven't met Glenn yet, but Karen is also there because she's got business at the prison and doing her federal marshal duties. And someone doesn't like mac and cheese or something. And no one expects Karen to be there. She's the wild card element. And Jack, everything would have gone to plan because he fooled everyone into thinking he was a guard. But she's there with her gun out, and they put her in the trunk. And Jack climbs in with her, and this is where we get, I guess, what you would call in this case, still a meet cute. But and this is the point where they start talking about movies, and they're sort of snide and sassy with each other, but also like, there's this chemistry and they're close, and you can tell and by the end of their exchange, he starts saying something before Buddy opens the trunk. Like, what if we were in a bar and I came up to you? What if there was a different situation? What if we weren't who we were? Like, what if we could just be different people? And then it was sort of interrupted.
When this movie came out, all the hype, all of the Entertainment Tonight stories was the sexy trunk scene. That was like a lot of ooh, everyone's talking.
So no one's with me in the sexy dream bathtub scene, are they?
The sexy trunk, but which it is a great sequence. And also, look, I mean, a fascinating thing about this movie, a fascinating thing rewatching this movie is how little they're on screen together. They are not in a ton of scenes together in this movie. Most of the time they're
in 3 scenes. And so basically after the trunk scene, which is so important, they're just in each other's head, right? She can't stop thinking about him. He can't stop thinking about her. He actually doesn't leave Miami as fast as Buddy would like, because he's wants to hang around for her, but also then we learned that Adele might be in danger. But and then the funny thing is, Dennis Farina's character, the dad, Marshall Cisco, he's the one who notices how much she's bringing up Jack. And he's the one who notices that she's the one who reacts a certain way when he says her name or sees his picture or something like that. So he can pick up on it because he knows his daughter well enough. Also, there's no love lost between him and Ray. And there's a great scene where Ray comes over for Super Bowl Sunday. And, yeah, it's just and he's sort of being sort of passive aggressively shitty to Ray, because so Ray's character in this is married, not quite separated yet, so still literally still married and living with his wife, and
Right.
this is who his daughter is seeing, so obviously he's going to have, take umbrage with that and be protective, and not trust Ray as far as like what his intentions are with her daughter. And then also after the whole trunk scene, when Karen's in the hospital and being like talked down to by the FBI guy, he brings up the fact that she dated a bank robber previously.
Yes.
She did do that. She did the right thing in the end. But according to this guy, and we don't know what the truth is, she didn't know, which doesn't seem very Karen.
Right.
What do you think? Do you think she knew?
I don't know. Maybe she was young and naive. I don't know, but it feels like she would know on some level, at least.
But it's a good way to also talk about, like, who she's attracted to. She's attracted to the risk. She's attracted to also, that type of I don't know, like that whatever the swagger it is you carry when you're a bank robber, and that's sort of like what does it for her, right? Even a secret bank robber,
even a secret bank robber, but a sexy bank robber. No, the dream bathtub scene is so good. It's funny, I'd forgotten the reveal of it, so first of all, I'd even jotted down on my notes, it's like, oh hey, the female gaze, because she's checking him out in the bath, but then it's a very funny reveal that it's her dream, just because it subverts expectations.
And then also when
as it goes on, you start to realize this is probably a dream.
Yeah.
But I think that the twist on that is that it's her, not him, who's having that dream, which I think is great.
And from a script standpoint, the follow-up where the dad says, you're talking to your sleep, and she said, what'd I say? He said, hey yourself, which is basically what a response would have been to hey.
Right.
Is a great is just a great sort of cherry on top there, dialogue wise.
Yeah.
Then we meet Steve Zahn as Glenn Michaels, who is sunglasses wearing stoner character who's an idiot, but also like not the dumbest person on the planet. Like he's played for comic relief, but also not. He's played more innocently, right? Like the way that Karen is basically able to sort of talk him into a panic, to talk him into driving the car away from Jack and Buddy, and like to get out of it, and his interactions in the car. He has only one less scene with her than Clooney does.
That's right.
Because they have a car scene later. Yeah. But again, so yeah, he's a gentle soul, but also not. The whole heist is his idea, so he can't be the dumbest plank on the ship. You know what I mean?
Right.
All right.
And again, the good bantering, because like them driving off in that car and leaving them behind is really funny, but the whole lead up to that, and his Zahn, a lot of his character is sort of exasperated, in over his head, but in a very funny way, the way he plays that.
So skipping back now, because we've already talked about the dream sequence and her in the hospital room, where we don't even know why she's there until they sort of flash back to the car crash. But right from the car taking off, we jump 2 years back to Lompoc prison, and that's where we meet. That's where we learn that Jack was in prison with Glenn and Snoopy, played by Don Cheadle. And then also, we haven't mentioned him yet, Albert Brooks, the great Albert Brooks, playing Richard Ripley, Dick the Ripper, Wall Street swindler, who got a prison sentence, but he's still enormously wealthy, has money on the outside. And very good and very funny in this movie, wearing like sort of fake teeth, and
totally different. Not like looking so different than Albert Brooks. We think of him looking.
If you're not familiar with Albert Brooks, he's been in a ton of movies. He's written a lot and directed a lot.
I mean,
you would know him from Finding Nemo. The voice of Marlin in Finding Nemo was maybe his biggest thing that he was in there where you don't see him.
Yeah. And, we've mentioned recently broadcast news talking about Holly Hunter.
That's right.
William Hurt passing away shortly after that. He is the third person lead of that movie, and he's wonderful in that film as well.
He's only been in like 5 or 6 movies, like honestly.
Yeah.
But I highly recommend so many. Okay, maybe not 5 or 6 movies. How many has he been in?
He didn't. Yeah, he a handful. He pop up. I mean,
one of my favorites is Mother.
Mm-hmm.
Have you seen that?
Oh yeah.
I think I probably saw it with you.
That's very possible.
No, the guy's probably been in 30 movies. I don't know. I'm saying 5 or 6 movies, but
he's in 500 movies.
I think he's directed 5 or 6 movies. That's what I mean. Not been in, but like Modern Romance, Lost in America, Defending Your Life, which is also great.
Defending Your Life is probably my favorite.
Yeah, Defending Your Life and Mom. Why don't I say Mom? That's the CBS sitcom. Mother. Okay. And this is where we get basically the score, right? Jack's idea for the one final score that's going to lead him into a life of retirement where he doesn't have to do this shit anymore because he doesn't want to risk ever going back to prison because he would be there for basically until he dies. And even later on in the film, he and Buddy are sitting in a car questioning. It's like, does that ever work? Has anyone ever had that one last dream score of millions of dollars that allows them to just go live in Barbados and on a beach for the rest of their life?
And I really admire that the story, the movie, but I'm guessing the source material. I haven't read the book, but it's like the different version of this would work over time to get Karen and Jack into scene after scene together. And even if there's one last score, she becomes either a willing accomplice or they just keep having more scenes together. And this doesn't need that. Like, it doesn't feel like, oh, like we're being cheated out of more. It's like this interesting parallel thing. He's doing this, but he can't get his mind past her. And we understand that,
and then, but also like he calls her. So this is technically, I'll count this as like half a scene, right? Because they're not together, but they talk on the phone while her dad and Ray are there. And like, it's such a huge tell that she doesn't say anything.
Right.
Like she takes the call. She doesn't
acts like it's some work thing. And yeah.
And like just takes the call. And that explains later when they're closing in on Buddy's apartment and they're leaving in the elevator, delayed by an old woman. When he sees her from the elevator and he waves and she's like, why she doesn't radio upstairs. Also the fact that the other guy's a dick and like she doesn't like,
but also that wave is such a great moment. Like it, because it's like, kind of a impulsive thing to do. Like he is a wanted criminal, but he's smitten and she is too. So they, what a great moment. Again, keeping them apart to, I think, great effect. And that wave is, I love that moment.
And then it's up to her, right? Because they're off to Detroit because the Lompoc parts of this movie show us them learning about Mr. Ripley's $5 million in uncut diamonds hidden somewhere in his giant estate. Mm-hmm. And Snoop basically being Ripley witnesses him murder somebody in line, and
Shiv's a guy, yeah.
But he also protects him for like money and is adding it up in the ledger and getting him pillows and goldfish and bushy lom for his eyes. And but then it also sets up the friction ahead of time. This is all 2 years in the past between Jack and Snoop. And like that will play out later on. But it's never like this full on animosity, right? Like the way everyone plays, even the people they don't like in this movie, the way everyone plays it with each other is like, in any other movie, they would have come to blows like so much earlier. They just don't. Everyone plays it cool. Everyone keeps a level head for the most part. Mm-hmm, and allows them to like talk about things like Even when like the fact that like they all enter the house together at the end as partners, even though there was a plan probably to kill Jack. The fact that they get that far means that they're just like they're different type of adversaries. You know, they're going to pick their spot. They're going to talk more than anything.
No
right.
one's. I mean, yeah. It's look. I guess the poor fish gets made an example of, but everyone's trying to just make their money
and Snoopy's crony who gets kicked in the dick and hit with a book. But and then also, so previous to Jack's plan to like rob Ripley and use the money to retire, he thought he may have a way out. And it came from another, and it was also from Ripley saying, come see me when you get out. So everything we know tells us he didn't escape Lompoc. He served his time and then he went to see Richard Ripley for a job and basically was offered a low-paying security guard job and expected more, but why should he have? And that's what Richard was trying to tell him. And he's basically like, everything you've done in your life that, you know, skill-wise doesn't mean anything. And that led to the throwing of the tie. And that leads us back to the beginning of the movie. And it sort of all comes full circle eventually. But then, like I was saying, it's all on Karen. After the wave, it's on Karen to chase him to Detroit because he's off to Detroit. He didn't really expect to see her again, right? Like he wasn't going back to Miami.
Right.
But she follows him there. And how does she, I can't remember. How does she know to go there?
I'm forgetting to. And by the way, it's weird. I actually think I accidentally deleted a bunch of my notes because there's not nearly as many that I took last night.
Let's see. Why does she go there? Blah, blah, blah. I don't think I wrote it down, so that's not going to help me. But anyway, she figures out that she's going there, that he's up there.
Well, I'm trying to remember like the order of things, like, you know, because we haven't mentioned Viola Davis is in this movie.
Well, we're not, because we're not in Detroit yet.
Okay, I couldn't remember if like that got her to Detroit or that was in.
No,
Detroit.
she's Snoopy's sister.
Yeah.
And when Karen goes looking for him, but we go to Detroit where everything's blue. Everything's blue in Detroit. The color palette totally changes. The music sort of changes too. And again, like I've said, I've seen this movie so many times that I know the Detroit theme. Dum dum dum. It's almost like Another One Bites the Dust a little bit, a little more funkier and jazzier than that. And but what we meet up there is Glenn and Snoop, and because Buddy and Jack took so long leaving Miami, basically Glenn thought they were busted or dead or something like that. So he turned to Snoop up there, who's now managing fighters instead of boxing himself, to help him with this score. And Glenn instantly gets in over his head with like the viciousness of Snoopy and his cousin, played by Isaiah Washington, named Kenneth.
I can't remember if they're cousins or not. Another person I had no recollection of being in this movie, Isaiah Washington. To the point that, because another scene that kind of got a lot of attention pre-release, it was in the trailers,
was when she hits him with the baton.
Yeah, you wanted to tussle, we tussled. I was like, oh, Isaiah Washington is the person the retractable baton, which was also kind of a cool, notable weapon. I think the TV show might have brought that back too, or definitely on Justified.
It was on Justified,
yeah,
and then it got more popularized, I think, in the Resident Evil movies. This movie's just like the actors. I mean, there are people in this movie who are pre-established, like Farina, Albert Brooks in the 80s, but so many of them, it's just kind of a cool movie as far as like people who were like really kind of rising up in this mid to late 90s era in this movie. Karen winds up on his trail. Basically, Snoop takes Glenn to a place and kills people really violently with like a hatchet, I think, Kenneth is really like sort of psychotic, and Karen follows up on that scene. And there's another Ray that was really interesting that Paul Calderon plays. You have two characters named Ray. This is Raymond, her cop friend up in Detroit. But because she's at this crime scene, Jack sees her in the paper. which was sort of the only stretch of this movie, which is just like this is covered, and she gets her picture in the paper as just talking to someone. I allow it. I allow it because I love this movie so much. It's totally fine. But without
it should have been Tango nails another one. Cisco,
another bust for cash. Yeah,
for Cisco,
super cops. And but because of that, because he knows she's in town, he starts calling around hotel rooms, and we get to the timeout sex night. Wow, with the way
Heat should have gone.
Yes, the way when he's like, when he like flies down and like stops, pulls him over on the freeway, and he's like, can I get you a cup of coffee? It should have led to this. With this sort of like faux Portishead music, that sort of sounds like Rhodes from Portishead. I don't know if it actually was Rhodes without the lyrics, but sure sounds like it. But it really works for the scene. And JLo's there, just wanting to drink her bourbon in peace, and we've got these sort of cheese dicks walking over to her, taking their shot, and like not being subtle about the fact that they've almost made a bet about who can land the sexy woman drinking alone.
Well, it's all great. All her like rebuffing them and mocking them is great, one by one. And then when Jack comes over, and the way that they do it, cinematically speaking, because we're flashing forward to the fact that they're going to sleep together while we're seeing them talking. Really just great stuff.
Yeah, the intercutting, the editing done here, as far as like this whole moment, like you said, cutting back and forth between their sort of verbal foreplay, as far as like just getting to know each other and talking about the fact that like if we could just be other people for a little bit and separate ourselves from our actual roles in the world at large. And they make a joke where it's like, I'm Gary, and she's like, I'm Celeste. And it's just an amazing scene. And even her reaction the morning after, as far as like almost mad at herself, mad at the situation. Maybe she's regretful because she's like, I'm here again, like once again, I am.
And they have this interesting talk about why they're even doing this. Was this like a weird like kink thing of like, why did they have this hookup, or is there something more to what's going on here?
Yeah. And he's talking about how most bank robbers are moron, but he's less of a moron. Like he doesn't let himself off the hook too much, but like but yeah, it's such a well done, sexy ass scene that and they it's interesting to note that early on it was going to be Clooney and possibly Sandra Bullock, and when they read, Soderbergh was like, they have chemistry obviously, but not this movie chemistry. So maybe what we were talking about earlier, they had rom-com chemistry, but they didn't have like because JLo's not even as someone who has starred in hugely successful romantic comedies, JLo's not that funny. Sandra Bullock's funny, but I will also say JLo's not funny in this movie. Like she's not. No one's playing things for ultimate laughs in this movie. I can see Sandra Bullock and George Clooney being in a romantic comedy, obviously, but like what Jennifer Lopez is doing here is very different.
It is, but first of all, it's funny because Soderbergh also specifically said like George Clooney and Sandra Bullock should do a movie together, and they eventually, of course, did Gravity together. Not a rom-com, but a movie that's still the first act of which is heavily about the two of them together. But Jennifer Lopez in this movie, it's like, it's not that, people, weren't saying she was a bad actress before this movie, and, she'd done, Selena and these things, but this movie used her in a way that really she wouldn't even after this be used very much to this, like, just like, this, not just, she's very charismatic, but she's very like, just, she like Jack seems so smart, is so, she is projecting this intelligence.
She's soft-spoken in this movie.
Soft-spoken in this movie. It really, I think it was a nice revelation for people who probably had sort of pictured her in sort of one way. And and because it's just the way people are built, are like easy to snark on, and just a beautiful movie star, but is there much more there? This movie kind of helped people reevaluate her a lot. Again, I don't necessarily think all of her roles she did afterwards, and you've talked a lot about, of course, how she did a lot of romantic comedies starting not right after this, but a few years after. But this was always kind of like in the back of people's minds, and we're going to get to Hustlers, down the line, where it's like she, seemed to sort of lean more into something, this type of role. I can't say, it's funny. On one hand, I could say, oh, I wish she did more roles like this, but on the other hand, it's like, maybe it's kind of cool she didn't. Like, it's in her pocket, it's in her arsenal to pull out.
I love Carla Gugino. You love Carla Gugino.
Mm-hmm.
For all I know, everything I've heard, she's great on the Karen Sisco show. I know she was great on her episode of Justified. I'd be in for a J-Lo Karen Sisco show.
Mm-hmm.
Like her now. Like it's perfectly fine. Like, you know what I mean? Like just doing it now. Because she did a 2-season NBC series. I can't remember what it was called. Dark Blue.
Well, Matt, they're going to do the Into the Cisco verse where they meet and team up, right?
Oh, where it's just Gugino and JLo? I am.
Yes.
There
we're going to meet like another
on.
Karen Sisco that we haven't heard about
yet. Yeah. Oh, I don't know. That sounds like a dangerous show for me. Okay, so
Aubrey Plaza is going to play like a third Cisco. It's gonna be great.
The new Karen. This is called the Karens, but it's not about what people think.
It's not what you're expecting. Yeah.
They don't want to talk to your manager. They are the manager. So anyway, the scene is amazing, but then from there, we don't really know how they leave things off, honestly. But from there, they're still going in on. Jack and Buddy have a plan to go and raid the house early. Unfortunately, so does Snoopy, and so they all have to wind up going together. Karen scares Glenn off after another car scene in a very funny way, and everyone, like at the jail at the beginning of the movie, everyone converges on Ripley's house at the end, which is huge. Karen's outside for the most part, for most of it, waiting for backup, while inside RoboCop's Nancy Allen answers the door as Midge, the housekeeper who Ripley is actually in love with, though she is married. And we get everyone trying to find these uncut diamonds. Mm-hmm. And knowing that Jack is smarter than everyone else, we're pretty confident he's going to find them first, because the other crew, which consists of Snoopy, Kenneth, and White Boy Bob, who, to the film's credit, shows him slipping and falling on the road before he slips and falls and kills himself later. So
it's a funny thing, Matt, because I hadn't seen this movie in a long time. And the second White Boy Bob got introduced this time, I'm like, oh yeah, White Boy Bob. And oh yeah, he has like a big funny death, but what is it? What is it? And then about 2 minutes before it happened, I remember what it was. So I was like, oh, okay, I remember what it's been, because I remember it got a huge reaction in the theater opening night.
Yeah. And it was very, again, this is something else that Tarantino sort of like, shaved off of Elmore Leonard stuff. That same sort of accidental, whoopsie, like shooting Marvin in the face in Pulp Fiction, mm-hmm. like that kind of like explosive, sudden violence because of an accident, mm-hmm. Is just kind of par for the course for the criminal life.
Right.
Gun's going to go off and someone's head's going to explode.
You run with the gun, you shoot yourself.
Yes.
With the gun.
That's The Way of the Gun, which is a totally different movie. So fun to see a former main eventer, Nancy Allen, back in the mix here in Out of mm-hmm. Sight. I don't know what she was doing in her career at this point. I don't think much, but I feel like also Soderbergh probably picked her because of her early 80s career, right? Like he was probably just a fan.
Yeah, probably, very likely, yeah.
But yeah, what we see from the actual bad guys in this is they're getting distracted by clothes and steaks, and mm-hmm. They're not in a rush. There's no like urgency. They think they can shoot open a safe. They're not. They're
right.
They're kind of dullards, and so it's going to be up to Buddy and Jack to save the day. Buddy, Jack is even smart enough to find Ripley hiding in the house. He wasn't down in Florida. He's actually there. He finds the uncut diamonds in the fish tank. And it was all, margaritas and rice and beans on the beach, man. But he went back to save Midge. And if anyone really got an after the sunset retirement here, it's Buddy. Buddy got away scot free with all the diamonds. And Jack went back in to save Midge. Had he not, he wouldn't have been caught and shot and all that stuff. But we still are able to, when the credits roll in this movie, because it's envision a happy ending for everyone.
Yeah. Although I'm trying to remember, Matt, where do we leave off with Ripley?
Nowhere.
It's that's my note watching this again. I felt like oddly inconclusive for that character.
It was the final revelation.
He kind of vanishes into even though they're in his house.
Yeah, but
it felt like he needed a moment.
Maybe
I don't know. I felt
because
like
we don't get one with him and Midge together. All we get is that he won't leave Midge because he loves her. So it's kind of like heroic by default because he's not like just stooping to help for the hell of it.
Right.
Like he's in love with this woman and he's not going to abandon her. He's actively worried about her when he hears gunshots and stuff. But I think the last thing we see of him is like getting punched and stuff. So yeah,
it just felt like that's my one note here. It just felt like he needed one little beat he didn't get at the end of closure.
And again, like there are dark things in this movie, but they're not the things that shine the brightest. So it's the sense that like Kenneth is about to rape Midge.
Yeah.
Like that we've seen him actively murder people, and now we're seeing like he's actually about to commit violent sexual assault, and that Jack goes back and basically kills him. White Boy Bob kills himself. There's a sort of a gun duel of empty barrels between Snoopy and Jack. Then they punch each other and stuff, scramble for guns. Karen kills Snoopy, but then comes what to do with Jack, and he sort of has his mask pulled down. He's like, he wants her to shoot him. He wants to be shot down. He does not want to go back to prison. He's trying to say, pretend it's someone else. Just pretend you don't know me. The sexy Portishead music comes back.
Yes.
It is for this scene on the staircase. It like resurfaces for this like really intense moment of like, no more timeouts. And she's like pleading with him, please don't make me do this. And it's basically the most dramatic moment of the movie. Like aside from their sexy time, like it's like as serious as this movie can ultimately. Right. Yeah.
And we understand from his point of view, but also in no way does it feel like this movie should end with her shooting him.
No. In fact, like I already said, sort of, nodded my head at, which is the fact that like not only is she not going to do that, and it doesn't even cross her mind, she shoots him in the leg, she sets him up to escape prison by teaming up
one last celebrity cameo.
Samuel L. Jackson, uncredited, just like Michael Keaton was, as a guy who has escaped Leavenworth and other prisons countless times.
Which again is funny because these two Keaton and Jackson were both in Jackie Brown, another Elmo Leonard adaptation 6 months before. Keaton playing the same role, Jackson not. But here they are, both uncredited.
But yeah, so okay, that was out of sight. What do you think happens, Eric? He escapes. Do you think he cuts Hajara Henry in on the diamond so that he can help him escape, and they all go down to Mexico or wherever they were going to go to, with these diamonds and all this money? Do you think Karen joins him? Do you think it's happily ever after? What goes on?
So it's hard for me, to not bleed in, even though in no way do they have to be, so the Karen Cisco TV show, in no way, I don't even think Jack's mentioned. It doesn't have to continue. It's not necessarily saying it is behind the scenes. It was produced by DeVito, and Scott Frank was a consultant. So, and Universal made it. So there was, there was a connective tissue behind the scenes. I think I do bleed them together and think, well, Jack never showed up on that show. And I think we understood that, like, the bittersweet nature that they are not going to be together as a couple. He certainly is going to break out with him. She has helped him do that.
Yeah, he's not dying in prison. He's breaking
not
out.
dying in prison. He's going to break out with the help of his new friend. And I think it's some version of what you said there about cutting him in and living a good life with some melancholy feelings about for both Kim and Karen. Although they both understand it was a love that could not be. It wasn't great,
but it can. It could. If you just give it a shot. God.
What's interesting about Samuel L. Jackson showing up? Well, I mean, of course, it's funny just because. I mean, not that it's like Samuel L. Jackson, very of the moment actor in the '90s. Like we never see him anymore. He's of the moment, of course, because again, post Pulp Fiction, he is still of the moment. I don't think, Matt. I was trying to think about this. For two people who make as many movies as they both do, I think this is the only time Soderbergh and him have worked together, which is funny. You'd think after this, at some point, they would have done like an actual like full movie together. But I don't think, unless I'm blanking on something, I don't think that has actually happened, strangely enough.
Do you want to hear some Karen Cisco TV show trivia?
Well, I don't know. I wonder if it's the same trivia that I had a whole Twitter thread about while you were probably sleeping last night.
I do sleep at night.
You do sleep at night, and you're 2 hours ahead of me. So tell me your trivia, and I'll tell you if it's the same thing that.
Just that Catherine Bigelow directed the finale.
Oh no, I should have tweeted about that. I was distracted by
that John Landgraf writing the penultimate episode. Yeah, he wrote the penultimate episode.
That is what I tweeted out about. I just found out tonight that John Landgraf wrote an episode of Karen Cisco, and I was very amused to see the first person replying to me was Alan Sepinwall saying, and now I just found that out. And I said, well, Alan, I'm glad you didn't know, since you were mentioned in the first opening of John Landgraf's Wikipedia page, talking about how Alan
he's the mayor of TV,
which Alan says I did not coin that phrase. That is an incorrect fact. He is called that by many people. I did not the one who came up with that. And then I kind of did it. So John Landgraf, we've mentioned.
Well,
before.
you know what the source for that is. The source for that is Sepinwall and Feinberg's old podcast. So he has to take it up with himself and Dan Feinberg.
Well, Dan Feinberg became part of this Twitter thread. You should look back on it. It was very amusing.
It seems so long ago.
So I was very amused to find that we've mentioned Landgraf before. Landgraf is an executive. He's a very beloved executive. He's headed FX for almost 20 years now. And so it really threw me to be like, what? He wrote an episode of the Karen Cisco TV show. But what I found out is that he co-founded Jersey, Danny DeVito's production company, who made Out of Sight and made the Karen Cisco TV show. He was one of the founders. I think he left Jersey to go head FX, and that worked out very well for him. But he must have been kind of like Michael DeLuca, who was the, young executive at New Line, but wrote Freddy's Dead. Like must have had some side aspirations of like writing. And so he wrote an episode of a show they were producing. And then shortly after the show would be canceled, but
because of the episode he wrote.
Yeah.
But he's like, never again. This is why I don't write stuff. Yeah.
Right. Except he wrote like a full season, it turns out, of Always Sunny or something. Like you look up, it's like, oh wait, no, he what was the one about the guy in the animal suit?
God, Wilfred.
He wrote like 5 episodes of Wilfred.
American remake of I think it was an Australian show.
I believe you're correct. Yes. But yes, I am joking. He did not write any of. I believe it's his only writing credit, and so
it wasn't in the animal suit, Eric. He was a real dog.
He was a real dog. That's right. He imagines a man in a dog suit, but
with an Australian accent.
With an Australian accent. But yes, Catherine Bigelow also directing. So Karen Cisco. Again, Universal owns that show. It is completely unavailable in any legal sense. I tweeted out that they should put it on Peacock, but
I'm going to tweet out that JLo should just star in a new Karen Cisco show, which would renew interest in the old Karen Cisco show and maybe make it available somewhere. But yeah,
there you go.
All right, that was a great movie. One of the best movies. One of my favorite movies of all time. I just love it.
It's a great movie, and really, it's a cool movie. It still totally works. And it's a really interesting movie as far as the place that all the major players, we're talking about Jennifer Lopez here, and it's an interesting movie for her. And she's talked about how, because the movie, it made money, but it was still not a huge hit. But she's mentioned how much people come up to her and say how much they love it. And it's, its afterlife has been bigger than what it did in the box office. And I think, it's looked back on as a favorite for all these people who've had great careers. And that's saying something.
And favorite for me, who's had not a great career. Okay. Next week we're going to talk about The Cell, which is a trippy journey into the shattered psyche of a serial killer, starring Jennifer Lopez as a. This isn't quite like the '90s movies that like latched onto the virtual reality craze, but it feels not
related.
like
it feels related to them.
Yeah, it's not completely separate.
No.
It's a lot more beautiful than the and interestingly shot than the other movies. But yeah, okay. Until then, everything is possible, but nothing is real. But also everything is very, very, very sexy. And Shakma.
And Shakma.
Shakma!